Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
From makeshift studios deep in the heart of stately Maine Manor, this is the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I am your host, Joey Harris. You can follow the show's Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. You can email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. And folks, back, and I guess the only thing that people have been talking about for the last week is the Dark Side of the Ring, the Plane Ride from Hell episode. And if you have seen it, wow, that was a tough 40 minutes to get through, wasn't it? And for years now, for almost 20 years, we have been hearing about the plane ride from hell. And I think we only got about a quarter of what actually happened. And everything, all the fallout and stuff from what is happening now with Ric Flair to the Tommy Dreamer stuff, his comments and stuff. And there comes a point where you have to say, no, this is not acceptable behavior. Just because it's something that may have happened and it was a boys will be boys attitude doesn't make it right. And I wasn't on the plane, but if what happened, then this is not, it's not right. I mean, imagine if it was your wife or your mother or your sister or your friend that this happened to. You would feel totally different, and rightly so. So just because it's a stranger, you say that if this happens, then it was horrible. The best thing for all of this, the best disinfectant is sunlight. Have all the stuff come out in the open so that people can get better and that we can all say this is wrong and we won't stand for it. And then also, when I was finished recording and uploaded the last episode, I got the news that Norm Macdonald had passed away after a long, quiet battle that he had had with cancer. And I put on Twitter that it saddened me that he had passed away because I really enjoyed him and his work and his unique way of looking at the world. But I was overjoyed at the outpouring of emotion and love for him. And so this has just been a tough time. It's been a tough time for everybody. So hug the ones that you love even more tonight as you hear this, because none of us are promised tomorrow. Today we are looking at the Main Event 5 from the WWF. The Main Event 5 was shown on NBC on February the 1st, 1991. It was recorded January the 28th, 1991 from the Macon Coliseum in Macon, Georgia, and it did a 6.7 rating on NBC. We start off with still shots of Hulk Hogan's USO tour. We then go to our opening credits. Vince McMahon and Roddy Piper welcome us to the main event. They run down what's going to happen that night. The crowd is hot for the action. Earthquake and Dino Bravo with Jimmy Hart versus Hulk Hogan and Tugboat. The faces get separate entrances. Tugboat gets a nice response. Hogan comes out and the crowd goes crazy. Hogan is pumped up and ready. Hogan and Bravo start. Hogan in control. Hart tries to interfere and gets nailed by Hogan. Hogan cleaning house. Tugboat tagged in. Earthquake then tagged in. Earthquake misses an elbow on Tugboat. Hogan tagged in and the crowd is ready for him and Earthquake to face off. Several punches by Hogan to Earthquake. Bravo comes in and gets slammed. Hogan then slams Earthquake. Earthquake being pounded. Hogan clotheslines him into the corner. Hogan then with some corner punches. Tugboat tagged in. Double big boot. Earthquake kicks Tugboat on the charge. Tugboat down. Choking Tugboat on the ropes. They then choke Tugboat with the tag ropes. Earthquake hits the elbow on Tugboat, but Hogan makes the save. Bravo tagged in. Double team on Tugboat. Tugboat reverses a corner whip and splashes Earthquake. He goes to splash Earthquake, but Bravo hits him with Hart's megaphone, Tugboat being battered. A 2 count on Tugboat. More double teaming. Bravo tagged in. Hogan tags in, but the referee doesn't see it. More double teaming on Tugboat. Earthquake sets up his big sit-down splash, but Hogan clotheslines him to stop it. Both Tugboat and Earthquake down. Bravo and Hogan then tagged in. Hogan hits a big boot, but does a roll-up immediately to get the pin instead of the leg drop. Hogan and Tugboat then must pose. And I wonder if Dino Bravo had it in his contract that he doesn't take the leg drop. Yes, he'll lose to Hogan, he'll take the big boot, but no leg drops for the Canadian. Maybe. Flashback to how Sergeant Slaughter became the WWF champion at the Royal Rumble and the role that Queen Sherry and Randy Savage played in the change. Mean Gene Okerlund interviews Sergeant Slaughter and General Adnan. Slaughter says the only thing that matters is that he is champion and that he plays by his own rules. He says he's going to show Jim Duggan and everyone else how he plays by his rules. WWF Championship match. Sergeant Slaughter with General Adnan versus Jim Duggan. Slaughter comes out first, then Duggan comes out with, you guessed it, Hulk Hogan behind him, waving Old Glory. The crowd is really into these two. The referee sends Hulk Hogan backstage since he isn't a legal cornerman or manager. A USA chant goes out. Slaughter comes out hard. He's choking and punching in the corner. Duggan coming back. Slaughter clotheslined out and he takes a bump on the apron that looks really, really bad. Adnan grabs Duggan's leg as he was bringing Slaughter back in, and Slaughter gets a 2 count. Duggan takes a swing at Adnan, who ducks and grabs Duggan for Slaughter. Duggan then ducks and Slaughter hits Adnan. Duggan coming back, but Slaughter quickly regains the advantage. Adnan distracts the referee and Slaughter hits Duggan with his own 2x4. He batters Duggan all around the ring. The crowd is booing heavily. Duggan coming back. It goes outside. Duggan has Slaughter down. Adnan attacks Duggan, so Duggan goes after him. Slaughter then attacks Duggan with a chair outside the ring, and Slaughter gets disqualified. They bring Duggan into the ring where Slaughter continues to hit him with a chair, while Adnan holds the referee back. Slaughter then whips Duggan with his riding crop. Hulk Hogan comes down to save Duggan and gets hit with the chair. Slaughter then spits on Hogan and Duggan. Slaughter and Adnan then leave. A USA chant goes out. Hogan helps Duggan up, and Hogan waves Old Glory. The Orient Express, Kato and Tanaka with Mr. Fuji versus the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. Mean Gene interviews the LOD. They are sick of the Japanese versus American comparison. USA #1 is their point. The LOD come out to a good reaction in NWA country. Animal and Kato start. Kato gets a front face lock. Animal just picks him up and tosses him. Kato tries to chop to no avail, then takes off outside the ring with Animal following. Back in, Kato attacks. Back and forth. Animal power slams Kato. All 4 men in. Orient Express bail to the outside. Hawk and Tanaka tagged in. Hawk knocks Tanaka down. Kato grabs his foot as he goes to the ropes. Orient Express double team Hawk. He overpowers both. Both LOD just overpower the Orient Express. Tanaka and Animal tagged in. Animal hits a clothesline and all 4 in again. Fuji comes up and hits Animal with salt. The Orient Express double team Animal, who comes back and double clotheslines them. Hawk tagged in and cleans house. He hits everything moving, including Mr. Fuji. They get Kato up and hit him with the Doomsday device. Hawk then gets the pin. Back from a commercial, Mean Gene is in the ring and introduces President Jack Tunney, who announces who is going to be in the main event at WrestleMania. Mean Gene runs down some of the top contenders. Tunney announces that it is going to be Hulk Hogan. Color me surprised on that one. Sean Mooney interviews Sergeant Slaughter. He says it doesn't matter who he is going to face at WrestleMania. He says Hulk Hogan has never faced an opponent like Sergeant Slaughter. He says he is keeping his belt no matter what. Mean Gene interviews Hulk Hogan in the ring. Hogan says Slaughter and Adnan can already feel Hulk Hogan and the Hulkamaniacs breathing down his neck. He talks about the USO tour that he's been on. He says everyone understands why we are fighting for freedom, including Sergeant Slaughter. He says they'll all come after Slaughter at WrestleMania 7. He says Hulkamania is the strongest force in the universe. He pledges that he will be the next WWF champion. He then leads everyone in the Pledge of Allegiance. He then waves Old Glory. Vince and Roddy talk about what has happened that night and what is going to happen at WrestleMania 7 before signing off from Macon. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHairs. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from stately Maine Manor.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.